Welcome back to the Scruffy City Beat, WBIR's podcast all about Knoxville's music scene. This episode is about Knoxville Community Media, formerly known as Community Television of Knoxville. This is our iteration of public access TV. I'm going to be talking with their director about how they're adjusting to the times and also looking at some of the wide range of useful to weird shows that air on the station. So settle in and let's learn about Knoxville Community Media. Welcome back to the Scruffy City Beat. This week, we are talking all about Knoxville Community Media. If you haven't heard of it, you're going to learn all about it. If you have heard of it, we're going to remind you of some things that you forgot about. I'm here with Amos, the director of it. Can you introduce yourself to me real quick?
Hey, I'm Amos Oakes, director of Knoxville Community Media.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been directing Knoxville Community Media?
I've been director since 2021, and but I've been involved in some way or another since 1990. I started out as a volunteer doing cameras for city council meetings, and then started kind of doing my own shows with my friends, and then summer art camps that were in conjunction with the KMA, and then eventually landed a part-time job. Came back, went away, and I've been there full-time since 2013.
Yeah. And Daniel's punching back there. Daniel, hello.
Hey, folks.
Hello.
Hello.
So, Amos, Knoxville Community Media is a fascinating thing to me. I did not grow up in a time of watching community TV stations. I grew up more in the YouTube time.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about community TV, what this very important thing is? Can you tell me just what you guys do, what kind of shows you guys program?
Yeah, we were the original social media, really. We came at a time when you didn't have access to a portable studio in your pocket. You didn't have any of the social media platforms, but you had this weird place where you could go and you could make your own TV show. And the Cable Act of 1985 made that happen, cable companies provide equal platforms for people to have that voice. It's expensive to have your own TV show. It was expensive to make commercials, whatever. We are non-commercial, but yeah, anybody from any background, no matter what their beliefs, dreams, or values were, could come in and still can come in and have a TV show about anything. We are what's known as a PEG access channel. There are several types of access centers across the country. 1,700 still exist, but PEG stands for Public, Educational, and Government. Some access centers are solely public, some are just educational, some are just government. We're all three. So we serve the community. The public part is, like I just said, you can have a show, anybody can have a TV show. Educational part, we work with Knox County schools some. We still air their school board meetings, even though they record them themselves.
Yeah.
We also work with a lot of nonprofit groups for many years, and still do. Asian Cultural Center is a great nonprofit we work a lot with still. Zoo Knoxville, we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
And then the G part, government, we run over 40 government meetings, gavel to gavel, and you can't get that anywhere else. You can get sound bites, but we do it from the time they say click to this meeting is adjourned. And those meetings can be very long and very boring sometimes, but it's very, very important. Yeah. And government transparency and civic engagement through that process is something that's very important to us.
Yeah. Daniel, you said earlier that we still now pull clips from them.
Yeah, all the time. If there's a city council meeting or a Knox County Commission meeting, if you're seeing sound bites on WBIR, we probably rolled recording on Knoxville Community Media's website. It's such a helpful resource. Yeah.
I'd imagine that's probably been true the whole time then.
It has, yeah. We get a lot of calls from lawyers. We get a lot of calls from people who are hoping to get a lawyer to fight the city, or sometimes we get it from the city to prove their own point. They want copies. Still, people will order DVDs, or they can go to archive.org and just download those videos on their own.
Yeah. Can you tell me about the different eras of Knoxville Community Media? When you guys first launched versus when you just had the heyday of the most amount of shows, and then when things started to change with social media. Can you kind of walk me through the start and how it's changed over time?
Yeah. Well, Christmas Eve 1975 was the first cable cast. It was called Cablecast then because it was all local, and still is all local. But we use the term broadcast now to try to make ourselves sound fancier. Started in the basement of St. John's Episcopal Cathedral
Really?
as St. John's Community Video Center. And we were there for a couple of years, moved into the city-county building. From there, went into the Andrew Johnson building where we were for many years until 2013. Then we moved to State Street, and now we're in the First Horizon building. Those early years, it was new and novel. I think we kind of talked about this earlier before we started recording, but there were a lot of video art collectives who were doing all this guerrilla video making. A lot of them had their foot in the door early with public access TV, not so much in Knoxville, but around the country. There's a guy named George Stoney who was the godfather of public access television, and he was a documentary filmmaker. So you had a lot of people who were already telling stories who were interested in furthering that mission through the medium of television. So in Knoxville, you had cooking shows, you had interview shows, you had people who just wanted to cover events. We've got a lot of old archives of the 82 World's Fair. So it was anybody and everybody were doing shows. There was a lot of excitement to it, and I think maybe the novelty wore off a little bit near the end of the 80s. But mid-90s, things started to pick up again. That's around the time that I came on.
Yeah.
And I call it the Wild West of public access because you started to get the college crowd, or there was a pretty heavy punk rock scene in Knoxville. So a lot of the freaks and geeks started coming out and making really interesting programming. Some of that programming almost got us in trouble, but the good thing about that is that we're not responsible for anybody's content. You signed a producer agreement, so your content's your content. We don't review it. We don't censor it. We don't do anything but put it on the air.
I'm sure people loved that. The freaks and geeks loved that.
Yeah. If there's a consequence, it's on you. It's not on us.
Yeah.
So we could see social media tidal wave coming our way, the internet. Everybody knew about it, and everybody talked about it, but nobody did anything about it. We just kind of sat and pretended like everything was going to be all right. A lot of access centers closed down by 2010, and those who had already forged great relationships with local governments and were covering their meetings, those survived. So that's the only reason we're surviving right now. We do a lot of fundraising and grant writing that kind of help with our artistic mission, or doing youth documentary programming, things like that. But just day-to-day operations, that money comes to us from contracts with the city and the county. And where that money directly comes from is the cable companies. So people aren't watching cable like they used to, so that cable revenue drops every year. They have to pay a franchise fee to be in the community and to lease public rights of way to run their infrastructure. The city and county get a small portion of that money, and we get 2.5% of that.
Okay.
So
that number gets smaller.
Yeah. 10 years ago, we had a $1.7 million budget. Now we've got about a $595,000 budget.
Wow, it's just a lot of change.
Yeah. It's scary.
Yeah.
But we still believe in our mission and are still moving forward.
Yeah. I would love to spend some time looking at just some of the wide variety of shows that you've had over the years. There's just some really interesting subcultures of community public access TV that are new to me, that are really fascinating.
Yeah.
I think the first thing I want to show, because it's just such an important part, is the city council aspect. If you haven't before turned on your TV to watch city council on Channel 12 or on the TV app, I want to play a little clip of that. Just straight up recording of a city council meeting. These air every other Tuesday?
Live every other Tuesday, and then the repeat is on the Tuesdays they're not live.
For how many years?
Oh my goodness! As long as I've been there,
Decades.
1990, but before that,
Probably
too.
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's listen into just a touch of that. Oh, here's the music.
And I'm able to scrub forward and around if y'all are able to.
Yeah.
It's a real vibe.
It's a real vibe. How many times have you heard this, Amos? This music.
So many.
You said that you guys used to have custom songs to the...
Yeah, we would make lyrics. We had one for Victor Ash years ago.
I'm imagining you guys like in studio as this is coming on. Are you just singing it in the office?
Well, that's post-production.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll start with
Yeah,
an
so just,
invocation
what,
led by
30, 50 years of weekly city council meeting streams.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I imagine people are flipping through and this is giving people access to information from local politicians and
Exactly.
in a
yeah. And if
very important way before phones.
Right. If you have something that inhibits you from being there, you can watch it on TV or get a copy of it later. So it's good to see this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Another, I think, important feature you guys have served. You guys have allowed a lot of churches to have shows, to have access to making TV shows.
Yeah.
Can you talk at all about that culture? How many churches were really doing this?
Oh, at one time it was Church Central, I'll tell you that. We still go live every Sunday with St. John's because we still that's where we started, so we still have a relationship with them.
That's cool.
So they come on every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. But yeah, it was free. It was a way for people to get their message out. Interesting story about that is one day we got a phone call from a very angry person who was not happy that we were suppressing other voices in the community. And I was confused. Well, what do you mean by suppressing other voices? He said, well, you don't have an atheist show on. He said, I'm with Rationalist of East Tennessee, and you don't have an atheist show on.
Okay.
So what would you like to have your own show?
Come make an atheist show.
And it got dead quiet on the other. What? I can have my own show? Yeah, and I can talk about atheism? Like, yeah. Oh, okay.
Exploded that man's world.
And so they did. They came and they had a live show.
Oh, wow.
Called Free Thought Forum, and it was on for about a decade. They were live. I think it was Thursday nights. So
That's what it's for, isn't
yeah.
it?
What? Excuse me?
That's what it's for, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Anybody.
Yeah. And we had Rahim Abdul Ahad, I think was his name, had an Islam show for many years. He was a great guy. His wife made a little outfit for my baby when he was born.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's sweet.
It's a voice for anybody and everybody,
Yeah.
no matter what your belief system is.
And one of what I hear is the most long-standing ones that's no longer going, but it was True House of God.
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen into a little snippet of that.
All right.
All the music. These graphics, if you are watching right now, these graphics are just, I mean, what, the 90s on display?
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
That's pretty public access right
So
there.
good. There's something lost in making things look good now. This is so perfect.
Agreed.
So tell me a little bit, how long was this show around?
They were probably around for 20 years. Sadly, the pastor of that church, I know she had some serious health problems, and she may have passed away because they brought their last tape to us probably 6 months ago or so.
Wow, so recent.
And we just decided that we're going to play it out through the end of the year. We'll air repeats all year long. But yeah.
So you guys have, you have city council, you have churches, but it does also get pretty weird. Daniel, if you can play another look, this is one step closer to the weirdness that you guys
Cue that up real quick.
peeked at. Blasted audio.
Yeah.
I love it.
Just peeking out everything.
Okay, so this has kind of a surprise to it. Can you tell me about what this show is called? Another Look. Can you tell me about this show?
Yeah, Another Look was produced, directed, written, edited, and hosted by prisoners from Morgan County. And one of our directors, the most long-standing director, David Vogel, was such an amazing individual who kind of my mentor and taught me a lot about empathy, taught me a lot about inclusion, taught me a lot about giving voice to everybody. And he really believed that prisoners should have a voice too. So he worked out a situation where they would bring him in on a bus once a month, and they would produce 4-hour-long shows. And then we would air those through the month. And going through all of our paper archives, there were all these letters from prisoners who got out and were thanking David for believing in them and giving them a chance and teaching them a life skill. And hey, by the way, I'm trying to get a job here. Could you write me a letter of recommendation? So just a really beautiful story.
That's really cool.
I've recently tried to kind of bring that back, and it's not that easy anymore.
Yeah,
so,
I could imagine.
Yeah.
That seems like it takes some special relationships to build the first time around.
Totally.
Bringing it back would be hard. Yeah. Okay, so another thing as we descend further into madness here. Passions Awry. Can you tell me the story about what Passions Awry is?
Yeah, I think Bob Alexander is the guy that produced that, but to me, it's one of these quintessential examples of beautiful public access documentary filmmaking. It's a very amateur documentary, but it's very watchable. Yeah. It's somebody that came in, learned those life skills of editing using a camera, and told a really gorgeous story. It's about Leslie Garrett, who's a Knoxville author. I think he had one big hit of a book and then kind of a failed career, so to speak, after that. I think he had a lot of problems. They talk about that in the documentary, maybe some drug addiction. But he was a contemporary and a friend of Cormac McCarthy. And I think they remained friends until his death. But it's a bittersweet story, and it's well worth a watch. You can find that on archive.org. And that's the thing about it. Sometimes you can get into some of these older pieces and you can get some exhaustion, but you can watch this all the way through. It's a great piece.
Yeah, I'm like tempted to.
Yeah,
I feel like this style of documentary, back when it's just a person with a camera and they have to go tape to tape.
Yeah,
that straightforward kind of documentary storytelling is really, I still find it really, really beautiful.
The Beast is a masterpiece, wrote Kevin C. Herton, author of Sex
I'm
and
imagining
Racism in
this
America.
is just somebody who met this person and was like, "You're fascinating. You need to be in a capsule. People need to see you." And they came to, all the equipment is Knoxville Community Media's equipment. Is that right?
Yep.
So usually the inaccessible part of making films and documentaries is equipment.
Yeah.
But people can come to you to get equipment.
They sure can. Yeah, we've got great equipment. Everything from just a consumer handheld camera all the way up to a Sony A7 with a cinematic lens kit. So
Amazing.
You can come learn to use that stuff. The thing is we're not a production house, though. We see ourselves as a communication center. So we'll show you how to turn the camera on, how to focus it. But when you want to start to get into technical things like lighting and composition, you're kind of on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, but you guys do have editing software, is that right? That you
We
can
do.
help teach people to use?
Final Cut Pro, Premiere, learn to use that. And we have studios, in-house studios, too, with a green screen and virtual sets that can be really cheesy and can also kind of be really neat. But, I like the cheesy aspect. So.
Yeah. Well, there's so much more weirdness. We barely even touched the tip of the iceberg on how weird things got. They were useful, this end of the spectrum, all the way to extremely weird on this end of the spectrum. You can find a lot of the shows archived on archive.com or .org?
Archive.org.
Archive.org. Yeah. And y'all are working to continue to archive more and more of those shows. So if you are curious to go surf around more and see what Knoxville was like from 1970, what year?
75.
75 until now, you can go watch a lot of those shows supplied by community members. We're going to take a quick break right now, and we're going to come back and talk about some of the things coming up for Knoxville Community Media. Welcome back. So we've spent some time talking about the incredibly useful parts of Knoxville Community Media, the airing city council, but I want to talk about some of just the weirdness that also came to present itself during the heyday, and I have the perfect person to tell me about the weirdness. Trey, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Trey Counts, and I'm partially responsible for weirdness on public access. We were on prime time.
You were prime time. What does that mean?
8 o'clock. I think we had at 8 o'clock, maybe a Tuesday night or something like that.
8 p.m.
8
That
p.m.
is prime time.
Yeah, I think David really liked our show, and so he helped me get that time.
So tell me about the show that you did on Knoxville Community Media and when you did it.
Yes, we did it in 2008. It was called Lenny Quigley Jr.'s Dance Extravaganza. And I basically got together with a lot of my friends that I worked with here at WBIR, and then some friends at other networks when I worked at Scripps with DIY Network and Fine Living Network and HGTV. And basically, we all just got along famously since we all came from television, had similar interests in making a show. So we thought, it would be pretty easy to do maybe a dance show and build everything in post. So we would do dance to different songs, and then I'd come back and put the new song in, and then I would even put in the audio for my voice and other things, everything, all the audio. I'd heard that about early movies, so I thought that would be a fun experiment.
Well, let's watch a snippet that you star in.
Yes.
Let's watch just the intro to the show. It kind
Got
of
it.
introduces the concept and the vibe.
Hello and welcome to the extravaganza. This is your host, the Sophisticate, taking you on a journey of sight and sound. You may remember me as an international playboy, as well as a tactician in the squared circle. What you may not know about me is that I'm also a man of science. A year ago I had a dream to mix two of my first loves, dancing and space exploration, into what
So
you know
weird.
as the dance extravaganza.
Daniel, you said this earlier, and I just feel like it's worth pointing out. This is the type of thing that would come on after the city council meeting ended. So you'd watch the gavel strike, and then it's roulette of what's going to come on next, and it could be this. Public access TV. This is sort of like a poster child of just like what you can get into, what you can experiment with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, just in terms of this, I had had a trip to New York, and I was really fascinated with the New York public access, that you would get all kinds of different things on there. And I was like, I don't know if you can do that or not, but it kind of hits you that, wow, you could do anything on public access. This is like an amazing tool that you could have. And I remember in college, I was like, oh, wow, I want to do this, but really didn't have the skill set. You were still trying to learn how to do it. So, a little further on in my career, we could do this stuff like, oh, I know how to do green screen now. I know how to do these effects. And it was just fun to go out there and do them right in camera and try not to do too much in post, because I did a lot of that for a living. So this was fun just to go, boom, let's wing it, and we're off.
You said something about how this actually led you to getting a promotion in your TV job.
It did. Oddly enough, we wanted to go in with no script, no ideas, and just fly by the seat of our pants and have to get ourselves out of problems or figure out things, have to have instant creativity. And a lot of that stuff became this run and gun style, as the budget started to shrink on television. So I actually ended up getting promoted up to HGTV and going on commercials. And, I'm sitting there, we were doing a shoot with the Brady Bunch. And I'm like, how did I get here? Do they know who I am? Like, this is insane.
Wow, that's cool.
But it was really neat. Yeah, and I think Marcia, I forgot, Maureen McCormick, came up beside me, and we ended up singing like TV theme songs and stuff. So it was just like working with another TV person that I was used to.
That's awesome.
Because we were all like, everybody was a fan of television. We just really loved it.
Yeah. Well, what a beautiful snapshot of the usefulness of community media to experiment with really great equipment in a really wonderful communal setting. Yes,
and just great, positive people. I think it's a great tool. I mean, I would recommend anybody get started and just go with it. And, it's a great place to make mistakes and have fun.
Yeah. Well, if that's you, you can still go to Knoxville Community Media. There's just a membership fee, but it's not very much at all. It's really a very small membership fee. You can go experiment with some real equipment. And coming up, Amos is going to talk about the future of Knoxville Community Media, what it's moving towards, and a way that you can go join the community this weekend. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We are still talking about Knoxville Community Media. Amos is here, and I want to talk about what's coming next in this new phase of Knoxville Community Media, how you guys have responded to this presence of social media, the permanent presence of it, how you guys have changed as an organization, and then we're going to talk about a fun event you guys have coming up this weekend to celebrate who you are. So can you first just talk to me about some of the changes? I see that there's now radio that started about a year ago. Just tell me guys how you guys have adapted to this new era.
Yeah. When I became director at the end of 2021, I started thinking about how are we going to survive, or how are we going to remain relevant, or how can we be interesting to the community? How can we become another vital community center like we once were? And I kind of want to interrupt myself and tell this quick story. I love to tell this story. When I was 17 years old, I was up working at the station, and there was all this stuff going on. The wrestlers were there. Knoxville Wrestle Talk was doing their live show. There was a group from Church Street United Methodist Church doing a show, and there were a group of lesbian women who were in the lobby waiting to do their show. And all of these groups had food in the lobby, and they were all interacting and talking, exchanging numbers. Back then, you had to have a crew of 10 to do a show. So, like, hey, can you come do camera on my show next week? Sure. And you don't get that anymore. You don't have dialogue between lesbians and Methodists and Baptists and wrestlers, and and it was real community.
That is so cool.
And nobody had anything in common, and their belief systems were completely different. But that really changed me and opened my eyes to how beautiful people can be, and what real community was. And so I wanted to envision a place that could be like that again, where people could come and have community. Changed the name to Knoxville Community Media. We, instead of pretending like social media didn't exist, we just got really active in social media. So post a lot of stuff on there. We also embraced older media, started doing things like zine workshops, teaching people how to tell their story through zine.
That's super useful.
At the root of everything we do is storytelling.
Yeah.
That's the root of everybody's life is a story, and what's your story? So we do the zine workshops. We started teaching a lot of youth to use old equipment like Super 8 film, disposable cameras, Polaroid cameras, because there is an element of the unknown with that equipment. How can you tell a story when you don't see the instant outcome of it? So things like that. We also kind of incorporated this word communicative arts. So we wanted to bring people in who might tell their story through sound, or bands who might integrate video. We started an artist residency, and we've brought in some amazing acts over the past few years. And so we just kind of had tried to liven the place up.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting that part of the reaction to things changing forward is to look backwards and bring in older styles of media. I relate to that, and I think a lot of younger generations are relating to bringing back older styles.
Everything we're doing is just trying to continue to engage the community and do that outreach and try to get people involved.
And you started radio just over a year ago.
Yeah. Last December, we started a community radio station. It's an internet-based, radiokcm.com, and it's just like the television station. You have your own little show, and you try to cultivate your own listenership and your own little community. And we've got everything from a grindcore show to a great talk show on Wednesdays. These two theater guys, I think they're on right now as we speak, talking about their experiences in theater. Got a guy that has a show called 70s Unheard. It's all these deep dives of 70s music that you may have never heard before. I've got a Friday show called The Kick Turn Party. It's me and my old skateboard head friends.
Oh, you're on that.
We talk about the history of skateboarding. And so, a big variety of stuff.
Yeah. It's beautiful. And you guys are doing something big this weekend that people should go to. They should listen to it and go to it.
They absolutely should.
Tell me about this 50th celebration that's coming up.
Well, one of our really wonderful community partners over the past 4 years has been the Pilot Light, another wonderful nonprofit group in Knoxville. And if you've never been, here's a great chance to go. We wanted to host a celebration of story and media as diverse as the programming that we've talked about earlier. So we've got a crazy lineup of stuff, and it's free. Just like what we do at the station, public access is meant to be available to anybody and everybody. And I should say that we do have membership fees, but we don't turn people away if they don't have money. You can come to us and tell your story if you got $0. We want to be that accessible to everybody. And we wanted this event to be that accessible. So it's a free event. It's Friday and Saturday. It starts at 11 a.m. and goes until about 10 p.m. both days. Most events are happening at the point, at the Pilot Light. And we've got storytelling, we've got East Tennessee History Center, we've got bagpiping, folk music, punk rock, electronic music.
Daniel's showing it right now, and you see there's also like gospel music on there, but
Yeah.
also some of the like hip relevant like bands that play the Pilot Light normally.
Absolutely.
Mixed
Yeah,
in.
we've got a hip hop showcase with 3 different hip hop acts. The thing that's
Awesome.
happening at the point is a really interesting thing. We have an artist in residence in town right now from Indonesia. His name's Lintang Raditya, and he is a sound installation artist, and he creates synthesizers based off topographies. So he's been here for a month exploring dam levels and exploring our culture and
cool.
exploring the mountains. And so he's created this interactive sound installation that people can come play with. And then there is the Wayang Kataristik. I can't say the last name. It's a puppet troupe. They're presenting a shadow puppet show
So
about
excited.
TVA coming into the region, and it's supported by the Jim Henson Foundation, and the UT Gamelan Orchestra will be playing with them. So
Wow.
there's a night show on Friday and then a matinee on Saturday.
That's
so
at the point.
Yeah, at the point. That's on Fifth Avenue, just a 6-minute walk from the Pilot Light.
That's fantastic. I am so excited to see it. Personally, I'm going to the puppet show, the shadow puppet show with live orchestra. I'm going to that on Friday night. Well, this sounds like a very exciting event. If any of you folks are drawn to Knoxville Community Media, this is a great time to go check them out and experience that in-person eclectic meeting of minds that you guys do so well.
Come do your own TV show or radio show. Come on.
Do your own TV show, y'all. This is your chance. You can use equipment to get trained and tell the stories you've been wanting to tell that you've been sitting on, that you've been pitching to the newsrooms and we haven't accepted yet. This is your time. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing community media. It's a really cool thing.
Thank you for what you do. You're a great storyteller and an asset to this community.
Well,
so
thank
thanks.
you. We'll both keep doing it full speed.
Yeah.
How about that? Thank you so much for watching. If you do want to do more exploring about Knoxville Community Media, a lot of their shows are archived. Archive.org, type in Knoxville Community Media. Also, go check them out this weekend. It's important to me that in this podcast, when we're talking about music scene things, I give you something to attend to actually learn about it in person. So go to the Pilot Light anytime on Friday or Saturday. It's 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. both days. You can find lots of shows that range a wide range of genres. You can also always send me stories for this podcast at jtaylor9@wbir.com. I'm going to leave you with my final statement that I'm just a girl sitting behind a microphone begging you to go see a live music show. Bye, y'all.